Okay, students, those people who lived many thousand years ago means in the sense of 4,000 years or 5,000 years ago, those people who lived so many years ago, usually always led their lives in a very simple way. It was not much organized at the beginning, but somehow they used to live almost as far with those other animals. Even their lives too seem to be very simple. Why? Because the only needs they had the only day-to-day needs they had were simply eating and roaming about in search of their food and other things. Apart from that, they didn't have any other burdens in their lives, no other tension they had. At the beginning, they were that much simple. But as the days and the years moved on, the lives of those people too started getting organized. Slowly but constantly, as soon as even they too started getting organized many thousand years ago, even they too started forming their own communities. They started forming their own communities, and later on, those small communities only, after coming together, they could be able to form huge kingdoms also. They were able to form that as an example for that itself. Here we could see that many years ago itself, minimum about 4,000 years ago only, there was you may call it the first ever kingdom that existed in our subcontinent. That was the kingdom of Magadha. Okay, even though earlier it was not there, but as soon as they started getting themselves organized, they formed the communities. Later on, those communities themselves only, they were able to form the huge kingdom, so-called the kingdom of Magadha, and that seemed to be existed to the south of the Ganga. Means, mostly in other terms, it was that too was existed on the banks of the river Ganga, especially to the south part of the Ganga. Here we can understand. Even here also, that one point that seems to be common is that even that kingdom too seems to be existed on the banks of a river only. The reason is well known. That is, for all the times, water in whatever form it might be, plays a very important role in the lives of any humans or the communities. The same thing could be seen even here also. It was existed to the south of Ganga, and here we can also know that as the rulers of that kingdom were very powerful, that kingdom of Magadha seemed to be existed for so many years. Okay, they were able to rule their kingdom in a very influential and effective way. Why? Because those kings who came to the power seemed to be very powerful, very effective, and efficient they were. So that's what we are going to see. And additionally, we could also see that during the times of the Magadha kingdom too. During the times of the Magadha kingdom, as soon as when the people started getting themselves more and more organized, they started traveling from one part to the another part of the subcontinent. But for what all reasons they were supposed to travel? Okay, but we should see that initially, in those earliest days of their living, those people, however, were not much bothered about traveling from one place to another place. Why? Because their lives were that much simple, as their needs were very limited. But as soon as they started getting themselves organized and more organized, they felt the need of still more and more necessities. So, giving these reasons, those people, so many people started traveling from one part to another part of the subcontinent, and the reasons were varied. For so many reasons they started traveling. See, for example, those people traveled first of all in search of food and shelter. Okay. See, for example, if they were living on the banks initially, if they were living on the banks of the river Narmada, or it might be on the banks of river Ganga, if they felt at the same time, after living for a good many years, one sooner or the later, if they felt the scarcity of the food or the lack of sufficient shelter too, that time automatically they felt the need for themselves to travel to at least to some other places in search of the same food and the grains. So that's why they traveled. That was the first basic reason for those people's traveling. First of all, that was in search of food and shelter. And additional to that, one more important reason for them to travel to other places was in order to escape from the droughts and floods. See, just like these days, just as it happens in these days too, even in those days, many thousand years ago too, people many oftenly were supposed to face the difficulties posed from the drought and the flood situation. Drought means here D-R-O-U-G-H-T. Drought means the scarcity of the rain, that the scarcity of the food which arises due to the slack of rains, due to the shortage of the rains or no rain at all. Okay, even though that was the season meant for the rain, sometimes what happens, the rain itself would not happen for certain natural reasons. So as a result of that, what happens, if there was no rain itself, means no crops, there would not be water at all for the crops to grow properly. And if there is no rain, means no crops. If there was no crop, means no food production. No food production means human lives would be in difficulty. So that's why when they used to face the drought situation of the scarcity of the rain and the food in one place, naturally they used to move from that place, and in whichever other place they found the requirements, the basic needs of their lives, they went and settled there. Okay, not only that much, but the floods too many times seemed to disturb the lives of those people, and for that sake too, they used to travel to other place. As soon as any flood situation came there, first of all, they used to lose their shelters. They used to lose their houses and other shelters due to the river waters, flooding the river waters. Their houses used to drown into themselves. Many times the human lives also were going to be lost there. Many times they used to lose their animals, including the cattle, sheep, goat also. So for that reasons too, those people used to migrate. Another term for their traveling we could find, that is migration. They used to migrate to other places for these reasons too. Whereas at the same time, those people also used to travel to other places for their certain occupational, for their professional reasons too. See, for example, if those people were merchants, they used to go to some other places. They used to travel in search of those valuable goods and other things also. If they were the religious people, they felt the need of traveling in order to give certain religious instructions and advices to those other people. And if they were soldiers, to play their roles in their armies, they used to travel.